Welcome to section 7. In this section we're going to finish off the course with a few different bits of information. We're going to see how to make our Grunt file more maintainable, how to troubleshoot common Grunt issues, and look at some additional resources to further our understanding of Grunt. Breaking down the Grunt file. In this video we'll look at how we can make our Grunt file more maintainable. As we've installed and configured plugins to use for our workflow, our Grunt file has grown. It's way too big. It's a pain to keep scrolling through it to find a specific task if we want to change some configuration, and it's only going to get worse as we add more plugins in the future. What we'll do is break the Grunt file apart and put the configuration for each task into its own file. We can then have Grunt load all of these task configuration files, and everything should work in the same way as before. But it will be much more organized, maintainable, and extensible. So let's make a start by creating a new folder in our project called Grunt. Inside this we can create a new file called JS-hint. This file will need to be a Node module. We can then cut the config for the JS-hint task from the initconfig object in our Grunt file and paste it into this new file that we've just created. We'll just need to wrap the config in an object. Lastly, we just need to insert the config into the Grunt config so that our task aliases can still see the target. So now back in the Grunt file, we need to use Grunt's loadTask method to load the task files from a specified folder. And that specified folder is going to be the Grunt folder that we've just created and saved our JS-hint file in. So the loadTasks method takes a simple string argument, and that string should be the path to the folder that contains the task configuration files. So Grunt should now load the JS-hint file that we just created for us. So we should still be able to run any of our task aliases that use the JS-hint task. And as you can see in the command line output, JS-hint has still run. So we can now go through the rest of the config now and add new files for the other tasks that we're using. So I've created a couple of new task files and I've switched over the config from the Grunt file into the new task files. We've had to make a couple of modifications each time we've done this, but as you've seen, the process has been very quick and easy. It's already making a difference. Our file is getting smaller, and once we've moved all of the files over, we'll be able to get rid of the entire grunt.initconfig method, and all of our tasks will still get loaded and executed. So this means our Grunt file is going to be much smaller. It won't be so intimidating when we open it up and we need to find a specific task to update the configuration for. And all of our tasks are now very organized in the Grunt folder, and the situation is much better. So in this video we saw how to use Grunt's loadTasks method to specify a directory that Grunt should load task configuration files from. Grunt will load all JavaScript files that we put in there. We don't have to specify individual files to load. So what I want you to do now is to continue going through the rest of the configuration and create the remaining files in the Grunt folder. In the next video, we can take a look at troubleshooting some common Grunt problems.